Hi, and welcome to Stephanie's Movie Reviews. In this show, we review 4 categories of films: action, family, drama, and comedy. I am your host, Stephanie Thompson. I am a member of the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, a classically trained singer-songwriter, a vocal coach, and an actor myself. And today I have a wonderful guest. He's been on this show before. His name is Adnan Khawaja, and he is one of our sponsors, SkyVistaConsulting.com. We also have EV36Photography.com and SkinFitnessLV.com. Those are all of our sponsors. But today we have Adnan Khawaja with SkyVistaConsulting.com, and he's a great social media guy, and he does websites and all sorts of things. And he is coming on to discuss movies today with us. So welcome, Adnan.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm just happy to be here.
It's nice to have you here.
Absolutely.
So you had fun on the last one, so you agreed to come back, right?
I sure did. That was a great movie review the last time. And I mean, this time I had the opportunity to watch 2 awesome movies as well.
Yes.
And one of them, being a series of things. But, we'll go into that a little bit later.
Yes. So if you are on social media right now, make sure you go to akexpertstv.com and check out all of our segments. We have 3 shows on this website. We have Amy Kardashian and the Experts. We have World of Book Reviews with Judy Morio. And we have my show, Stephanie's Movie Reviews. So you can see all of those segments on akexpertstv.com and check out and see what we're all about. So, on this particular segment, we're going to review an action movie, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And it was called Underworld Blood Wars. Now, it's an action horror category. It was released January 6, 2017. It was directed by Anna Forster. It's actually her directorial debut. And it's what I call bloody, fighting, grisly images. Its running time is 1 hour and 32 minutes. And it stars Kate Beckinsale, Theo James, Tobias Menzies, Laura Pulver, and Charles Dance. And basically the synopsis is that we have Celine. We're back with Celine again. She's a vampire death dealer. And she's kind of in the middle of this lichen and vampire war. And they're both after her. And her 2 allies are David and Thomas. And she's kind of sick of the whole thing. She's sick of the whole war. She doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. She's lost so much. She lost Michael. She's lost her daughter at this point. She doesn't know where her daughter is. And she just wants out. But then something shifts and she gets kind of sucked back in again. And she's fighting for her life all over again to end this feud between the lichens and the vampires. Is that about right?
Just about right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
now, Adnan, would you say this is a standalone movie?
Well, so I'm a big fan of this whole series of Underworld. And,
yes.
When it first came out, I was super excited. And, obviously my favorite actress is Kate Beckinsale. So, that alone gave a lot of encouragement or motivation to really watch the movie. But it's a standalone, especially from the fact that if somebody hasn't quite watched the series of Underworld, they might be able to pick up some elements from it. Mm-hmm. But it's really good to actually watch. It's kind of like some of the other series of movies like Divergent or Mockingbird, Mockingjay. Yes,
yeah.
Mockingjay. So
it answered some questions in this movie that came up during the series.
Yes, it did.
So it was like, okay. So
yes,
it was kind of like for those of us who've been faithful to this series and been watching, you got some questions answered. So from that standpoint, yeah, you could come in on this movie and say, oh, okay, you know what? I sort of know what's going on because it's giving them some more pieces of the puzzle, right?
Yes, that, and also they introduced a couple new elements to it, which happened when the whole idea between the afterlife. What happens between the afterlife? They're not really dead. So the death dealers dying but not quite dying. Mm-hmm. And that actually intrigued me quite a bit because you see the whole vampire and lichen contrast. They usually with Michael being the hybrid of all that, was kind of a cool concept because I was like, what would happen if you have a vampire and a werewolf? You kind of like mate. So now, here you have it.
Yes.
And the cool thing was, it does answer a lot of questions, especially from the lineage of the Covinus, and that was like the whole story behind like who is really the leader or leader of the pack, so to speak. And it's interesting how the vampire function versus the lichens, which they introduced something again, which was how are the lichens using special blood. And that to me was quite interesting. So overall, the movie, like you asked earlier, was it standalone? It was definitely standalone in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But then the plot itself, it was extremely intriguing. I think for the debutante director, she did an amazing job because
she did.
In the previous versions of Underworld, it was extremely gory.
Yes.
Especially 2 and 3.
Yes.
And that sort of like, okay, well, what am I really watching? This one, it had a balance.
Yes.
And it didn't have too much of the blood, not a whole lot of the sexual content, which was introduced in part, 2 and 3, which was quite surprising. But then at the same token, it was kind of a cool. It got the R rating to a different level.
All of the violence was necessary.
It was.
It was necessary.
Absolutely.
It lent itself to the story. Would you agree?
Absolutely, it did.
Yes. And the Marius Cart character, the Lycan leader, was an interesting character, I found.
He sure was.
We don't want to give any spoilers on the show, but and then his girlfriend was an interesting twist too.
It was, and within the whole series of Underworld, you've always had deceit as kind of the main focus, and so
yes.
You see the same thing happening over here, especially when they were having the whole meeting with all the elders, so to speak.
Yes.
And so there were some things that I thought maybe in the movie they could have improved. Or shed light on. One of the examples, which I don't want to quite give away too much about the movie, was their whole fortress, so the whole house that they had, the safe houses. So there were some elements in the movie that I thought, hey, they were kind of gray, but at the same token, from a series standpoint, just like Resident Evil, for example, it's all it all has its own purpose, and Underworld by far. To me, is one of my favorite series of movies. Wasn't quite a fan of the series, the movie prior to that.
Okay.
But this one, I think, definitely brought in a different
redeemed
perspective.
itself
It sort of did,
for
yeah.
You.
But
yeah.
I feel like there might be a new one coming about just because they didn't quite explore the daughter.
I know. They left that completely hanging. We can say that much. We can say that much.
We can. So, that, I think, was sort of interesting because, now you have a totally different beginning of Celine.
There are so many directions that this next movie can go in, really.
Absolutely.
That will be interesting to explore with like what you touched on with Celine, what's going on with her, and then the things with the daughter. And
David, not to mention.
And David, oh my goodness. That's a whole nother story.
That was a whole new sort of a revelation.
That was really neat. That was really neat to see.
It was.
So I gave this movie 4 popcorns. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was clear. I didn't think there was anything muddy about the plot. And I thought the directing was really good. The characters were really good. The acting was really good. I didn't have anything to really say anything bad about the movie. So yeah. I thought 4 was a reasonable thing, and so Adnan, thank you for being on this segment with me.
Absolutely.
And I'll look forward to having you on again.
Absolutely.
And again, if you go to akexpertstv.com, you can check all of our segments out there. We'll see you on the next segment. The next segment is going to be the family, and we're going to talk about monster trucks.